you ready for bed? Good. Before you settle down, maybe you might like to subscribe before we carry on. Don't worry if not. You settle down, you close your eyes and listen. Tonight we're going to be reading stories about Akbar and Birbal. Birbal identifies a thief. One fine morning, a minister from Emperor Akbar's court had gathered in the assembly hall. He informed the emperor that all his valuables had been stolen by a thief the previous night. Akbar was shocked to hear this, because the place where that minister lived was the safest place in the kingdom. He invited Birbal to solve the mystery. Akbar said, "It is definitely not possible for an outsider to enter into the minister's house and steal the valuables. This blunder is definitely committed only by another minister of that court." Saying so, he arranged for a donkey to be tied to a pillar. He ordered all the courtiers to lift the donkey's tail and say, "I have not stolen." Birbal added, "Only then can we judge the culprit." After everyone had finished, he asked the courtiers to show their palms to him. All the courtiers, except Alim Khan, had a black patch of paint on their palm. Birbal had actually painted the donkey's tail with a black coat of paint. In the fright, the guilty minister did not touch the donkey's tail at all. Thus Birbal once again proved his intelligence and was rewarded by the king with 1,000 gold coins. Birbal shortens road. The Emperor Akbar was travelling to a distant place along with some of his courtiers. It was a hot day, and the emperor was tiring of the journey. "Can't anybody shorten this road for me?" he asked querulously. "I can," said Birbal. The other courtiers looked at one another perplexed. All of them knew there was no other path through the hilly terrain. The road they were travelling on was the only one that could take them to their destination. "You can shorten the road," said the emperor. "Well, do it." "I will," said Birbal. "Listen first to the story I have to tell." And riding beside the emperor's palanquin, he launched upon a long and intriguing tale that held Akbar and those listening spellbound. Before they knew it, they had reached the end of their journey. "We have reached," exclaimed Akbar, "so soon." "Well," grinned Birbal, "you did say you wanted the road to be shortened." Birbal's sweet reply. One day the Emperor Akbar startled his courtiers with a strange question. "If somebody pulled my whiskers, what sort of punishment should be given to him?" he asked. "He should be flogged," said one courtier. "He should be hanged," said another. "He should be beheaded," said a third. "What about you, Birbal?" asked the emperor. "What do you think might be the right thing to do if somebody pulls my whiskers?" "He should be given sweets," said Birbal. "Sweets?" gasped the other courtiers. "Yes," said Birbal, "sweets, because the only one who would dare pull his Majesty's whiskers is his grandson." So pleased was the emperor with the answer that he pulled off his ring and gave it to Birbal as a reward. Birbal the child. Birbal arrived late for a function, and the emperor was displeased. My child was crying, and I had to placate him, explained the courtier. Does it take so long to calm down a child? Asked the emperor. It appears you know nothing about child-rearing. Now you pretend to be a child, and I shall act as your father, and I will show you how you should have dealt with your child. Go on. Ask me whatever he asked you. I want a cow, said Birbal. Akbar ordered a cow to be brought to the palace. I want its milk, I want its milk, said Birbal, imitating the voice of the small child. Milk the cow and give it to him, said Akbar to his servants. The cow was milked, and the milk was offered to Birbal. He drank a little, then handed the bowl back to Akbar. Now put the rest of it back into the cow. Put it back, put it back, put it back, wailed Birbal. The emperor was flabbergasted, and quietly left the room. Birbal the servant. One day Akbar and Birbal were riding through the countryside, and they happened to pass a cabbage patch. Cabbages are such delightful vegetables, said Akbar. I just love cabbage. The cabbage is the king of vegetables, said Birbal. A few weeks later they were riding past the cabbage patch again. This time, however, the emperor made a face when he saw the vegetables. I used to love the cabbage, but now I have no taste for it, said Akbar. The cabbage is a tasteless vegetable, agreed Birbal. The emperor was astonished. But the last time you said it was the king of vegetables, he said. I did, admitted Birbal. But I am your servant, your majesty, not the cabbages. Birbal the wise. Ram and Sham both claimed ownership of the same mango tree. One day they approached Birbal and asked him to settle the dispute. Birbal said to them, There is only one way to settle the matter. Pluck all the fruits on the tree and divide them equally between the two of you. Then cut down the tree and divide the wood. Ram thought this was a fair judgment and said so, but Sham was horrified. Your honour, he said to Birbal, I tended that tree for 7 years. I'd rather let Ram have it than see it cut down. Your concern for the tree told me all I wanted to know, said Birbal, and declared Sham the true owner of the tree. Birbal turns tables. Emperor Akbar was narrating a dream. The dream began with Akbar and Birbal walking towards each other on a moonless night. It was so dark that they could not see each other, and they collided and fell. Fortunately for me, said the emperor, I fell into a pool of payasam. But guess what Birbal fell into? What, your majesty? Asked the courtiers. A gutter. The court resounded with laughter. The emperor was thrilled that for once he had been able to score over Birbal. But Birbal was unperturbed. Your majesty, he said, when laughter had died down, strangely too I had the same dream, but unlike you I slept on to the end. when you climbed out of that pool of delicious payasam, and I out of the stinking gutter, we found that there was no water with which to clean ourselves, so guess what we did?" "What?" asked the Emperor warily. "We licked each other clean." The Emperor became red with embarrassment and resolved never to try and better Birbal again. Peaceful slumbers. Sleep sweet,